We are live, ladies and gentlemen. It's Graham Coath in the middle of your afternoon, or depending when the middle of your afternoon is. This might be the beginning of your afternoon if you're a late riser. I'm here with the fantastic Madisyn Whajne this afternoon, who is looking much more glamorous than me in that photo. Your hair is looking much better than mine for lockdown. All right. Much better than mine. Is that a good thing, having long hair anyway, because it's easier with lockdown hair?
I think so, yeah. I can hide.
But you look like you've really gone to town styling that today as well.
I sure did.
You really have, yeah, which is great. At the moment, styling my hair just involves buckets and buckets and buckets of hair product. Yeah. And just trying to get it to stop falling off my head. Well, that's what I do. Yeah. So thanks for joining us. And primarily, we're going to be here to talk about music, because when you're talking to musicians, that's a great thing to be talking about. Otherwise, what's the point? And we will talk about your wonderful album in a minute and how that gave birth and everything to do with it. But tell me, first of all, what's it like where you live at the moment?
Well, it's very gray and dreary, pretty mild. Okay.
Yeah. And what's just so we all know, because it's good to get that kind of global view, what's the kind of pandemic situation in your particular neighborhood at the moment?
So we are in our third wave officially. We just came out of a third lockdown, but we heard today at 1 p.m. there's going to be an announcement that we're most likely going to be going into our fourth lockdown. So yeah, it's pretty devistating, I have to be honest.
Yeah, what's the matter with these people? In, out, etc. I mean, we can't play hokey cokey forever, can we? I mean, it's just stay in lockdown that little bit longer, make sure that it's not a problem, and then let us out. Yeah. All right. I know we're all pulling our hair out. Well, yeah. I'm not, it's growing. I wish I could pull it out. But, we're all pulling our hair out. We're finding things like homeschooling really difficult. Yes. And we're finding, not being able to see anybody really difficult, etc. But at the same time, the last thing we want is to just get going and then dive back in again. It's really, really frustrating. It is. Yeah. Now, I'm pleased to say that you're not letting me down today, because following on from the tradition of other people that have been on this program, you have a guitar on the wall. Now, is that a real guitar? Does that work? Is it something you actually play?
It's for show. It's an old Silvertone. I bought it at an auction thinking it would be worth lots of money. But I brought it in to get it fixed, and the guy said, hang it on your wall.
Oh, but it looks the piece, doesn't it? It really does look the piece. And just tell me a little bit, and this may fit into your background, but tell me a little bit about the piece of art that's next to it.
Oh, yeah. So if I move this way, that's actually a picture of a raven. It's obviously a native painting, and my mother-in-law got it for my son probably shortly after he was born. So it stays with us until he moves out, but it is that way. It is one of my most favorite pieces.
Absolutely. So I was right in thinking that may have something to do with the birth of this album, because there is a very unique story behind how, this album was being written, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, you were doing this album anyway, but the story behind what happened next and then how this album came to really get to birth is quite a unique story. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I assume you're talking about the 60s scoop?
Yeah.
Yes. So I've been writing this record for, I guess, about 2 years. And halfway through, my mother-in-law and my mother sent me a link about the 60s scoop, which I had no idea about, no idea that I was a part of it. But it's where the government took tens of thousands of Native children, forcibly removed them from their homes, and put them in non-Indigenous families. And my mother was forced to sign a closed adoption, meaning that I couldn't know my birthday, my birth name, my family history, medical history, absolutely nothing that could tie me back to finding my family. To go off topic a little bit, I spent my life looking for my family, thinking that they didn't want me. And it was through a court case that I found out that my mother started looking for her children almost immediately after we were taken away. And her and my father both passed away before I was able to be reunited. But the 60 scoop was the government finally admitting that they had forcibly done this. So we received a small compensation, and it was with that compensation that I was able to actually put the record out. And yeah, here we are.
But that's, I mean, it's an awful story, and it's a tragic story. But at the same time, you know, the fact that it's given you this opportunity to do this, I mean, how important is that to you, and how important is your heritage to you, and where you come from? I mean,
oh yeah, so important. I mean, obviously it can't give me back anything in regards to, you know, missing out on the life that I had with my family, but it has definitely given me a new lease on life. And it's also given me a platform to share my story. And I think that actually has embarked me on my healing journey, because I've spent so much of my life just really at a loss, not knowing who I was or where I came from. And I feel a lot more connected.
Oh, that's beautiful. And it's a real, no, it is. And it's really very important. I think finding out exactly where you come from, knowing exactly where you come from. I think even for any of us that had, you know, our mums and dads with us, you know, as we were growing up, I think just finding out about, you know, the history of where you come from, etc., even that's powerful. But when you have a story like that, it must just mean so much more. And the culture from which you came from, which is such a rich culture as well. Hence why I wanted to talk to the piece of art, which is fantastic. You know, it must make you proud of that whole culture and the people.
Yeah, all very. We're resilient. We're strong people. I mean, we are still here, and our traditions still live on, and we are still talking about it. So
yeah, absolutely. Have you ever been tempted to get that as a tattoo? Actually, that's, I mean, that would.
You know what? I have, and I'm working on my next tattoo, which is a gift to myself for putting the record out. And my son is named Raven, so I was thinking of getting something put right here, much like that.
There you go. I'm a mind reader. I just know. and we've only just met. So now, listening to this album, lots of influences of, I would say, a British kind.
Yeah.
In here.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. And now I don't know whether you know anything about me, but I was in a band in the 90s over here. So, you know, I was touring and doing stuff in, you know, in that sort of scene with the indie scene. And when we used to go to discos, it was all indie music, etc. So tell me, who were your influences from, especially from Britain, in terms of listening to music particularly?
Gosh. you know, I'm kind of really bad at knowing where bands are from. I have to be honest.
Oh, just let's just talk names. It doesn't matter
Yes,
where they're
I'm
from.
gonna throw out names because I get asked that so much. But I do. I love the Go-Go's. I love the Vaccines. I love Beach House. I love Camera Obscura. I love.
Oh my word! Really, Camera Obscura, fantastic.
Oh, amazing band.
Yeah.
You know, I love Jesus and Mary Chain, which I know isn't from the UK. New Order was a big influence. You know, Joan Jett, Velvet Underground's really all over the place.
Yeah.
But I mean, I spent so many, and I still do. It's still my favorite music. I wouldn't say particularly influenced this record, but I definitely. I mean, I love the Britpop scene. Music that comes out, like, it is bar none. So
yeah. What is it about that scene then, or rather than specifically a piece of music or a particular band, what is it about that scene that really sort of caught your imagination? Was it the swagger of it?
Yeah, you know, that is a great way to describe it. There's a positivity, there's an energy to it that, you know, Canadian music I find has a very energy to it, but you know, it's not like, I don't think it's a very pump you up, get you going kind of music. There are some bands that are like that, but I think we're more melancholy. Whereas the Brit scene makes you want to dance, makes you want to move, and it always lifts me up, even the sad songs.
Oh, no, that's good. And I think as well, there's an element in Brit pop, etc., and Brit kind of indie as well, where even with bands like New Order, which is very, very mechanical to a certain extent, of a little bit of imperfection, which you probably don't get or wouldn't have got with Canadian music per se, because a lot of the Canadian music that I've listened to over the years, no disrespect, guys, but a lot of it has been very, very polished and very well produced.
Yeah.
But there is an element in which some of that music that came out of the Britpop era, there was some flaws in it. You know, the singing wasn't always necessarily totally there, or you know, there's a kind of a looseness about some of the sort of bass and rhythm sections of it, etc. But what there was totally, it was attitude. It was almost, you know, it was take punk, but make it much more accessible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I totally get it. I'm just, do you know what? I'm still reeling from the fact that someone else that I've spoken to on this planet loves Camera Obscura, because I just.
Oh my gosh! Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But how many people? Hands up, people. How many people have actually heard of Camera Obscura? Oh, really? No, yeah, fantastic. I got into Camera Obscura at the same time that I got into another band called Belle and Sebastian.
Oh, yes. Oh, love Belle and Sebastian.
There you go. It's all coming out of the woodwork now. And for me, it was just kind of there's something about do you know what? One of the things for me is kind of that hi-hat sound, which you don't necessarily get in a lot of music, where it was the hi-hat was more prevalent, etc. But also, you know, blending of, there's almost a feeling of sort of chamber music in there as well, to a certain extent.
Totally. Yeah, I think the first record that James and I did got compared to Belle and Sebastian the most.
Right.
It's never been.
No, that's tremendous. So, in terms of growing up, were you exposed to a lot of music growing up?
No, my family, this adoptive family, my dad had all the classics. He had your Beatles and your Beaches, a lot of Nana Muscuri. My mom was into
Oh
ABBA.
my word, you're doing it again. My dad had Nana Muscuri albums.
My dad was obsessed with her.
Seriously. And do you know what? I could never take it seriously because of the glasses.
I know.
You know, all of the album covers with Nana Muscuri on.
Yes.
Who's got a beautiful face, actually, very beautiful face. But it was those big rim glasses, and you just thought, it just kind of reminded me of a school teacher, and I just couldn't take that seriously. Carry on.
And then my mom was, the ABBA Air Supply. So I was very limited. We did listen to a lot of classical music, which I think was amazing. So I was obsessed with the Beatles, Elvis Presley, Beach Boys. I would take my dad's records and play them on my little Winnie the Pooh record, and I would practice, harmonies and melodies.
I was going to ask that as soon as you said the Beach Boys, and I've asked this one before. You practiced harmonies, didn't you? You were another member of the Beach Boys.
I was very embarrassingly because I'm not.
Did you actually do the harmony parts? This is important. Did you actually do the harmony parts that were there, or did you make up your own harmony to sit on top?
I think I made up my own.
Fantastic.
It's probably up for debate because I don't think I had a very good ear back then, which is funny. But yeah, so I wasn't exposed to music that I really fell in love with until probably about grade 3 or 4, when my best friend's cousin introduced me to Metallica and Guns N' Roses.
Wow, right.
Motley Crue. And so I went down that avenue for a long time. Yep. And everyone else was listening to Debbie Gibson and New Kids on the Block. So that paints a picture. I have always been an outcast. I remember walking to high school with my Metallica T-shirt on, and I wasn't very popular. And then
what was the first Metallica song that you really,
Oh gosh. That's a good question. I mean, I remember the T-shirt was "Injustice for All."
Right. So was it one? Was it one?
No.
It was something with a bit more meat on it than that.
I think so. Yeah. That's a long time ago.
But you know what? Afterwards, you can always go and this will happen. You'll go and get out your old Metallica albums and go. Do you know what?
Yeah. And I will actually. And the crazy thing is that I'm not good with titles or anything like that, but I can sing you every lyric from every album they ever made. Same with like Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses. It's kind of funny. And then the grunge scene came, definitely got into that. And then hip hop came and saved my life. And I have been just a fan ever since. It's probably mostly what I listen to.
Oh no, that's fantastic. The other thing that sprung to mind, or the other group that sprung to mind while I was listening to this album as well, was a band called the Sundays. Do you remember the Sundays?
The name rings a bell. I definitely wasn't like a big fan.
No. But there's an element to your voice which is it's there. You should go and listen now to the Sundays.
I definitely will.
And so, talk to me about this album. So, this album has been a long time in the making. So, in terms of when an album takes a long spread like that, and is produced over a long period of time. Did what the album originally start to talk about change as you went through that period?
I think so, yeah. I was getting out of postpartum depression from having my son. Nice. And I had spent years trying to write songs, and I continued to write really, really bad songs just to get them out of my system. I wrote in like batches of 4 over 2 years. And I don't really think I knew what I was writing about until the end of the record. And I put the songs in order. And I kind of realized that there is actually a story that weaves through there. And it's definitely, you know, from the beginning of that first year to the end of that second year. And definitely how I changed, for sure.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, I quite often that's the way these things happen. By the way, there are no such things as bad songs when you're writing. Okay, it's just practice. Okay.
Okay.
It's just
all right.
it's no. I mean, you may disagree, but you know, ultimately, I think for every musician who's going to be a singer-songwriter, at the end of the day, the important thing is that you continue to write.
Yeah.
You know. And not everything that comes out is going to be perfect first time. The difficult thing to do, like a lot of things in life, is to persevere with that and actually continue and to be slightly self-critical as well.
Yeah.
And actually and have a self-knowledge of what is good and what isn't good.
Yeah.
You mentioned the rest of your family earlier. Were they involved in terms of the writing itself, in terms of feedback and sort of giving you a steer on it?
Family? No, definitely not family.
Right.
I'm a super private person. People don't hear anything until it's exactly perfect.
And then it comes out the cat. So who were your other ears that you could trust on this project?
So I wrote this record with my friend James. And basically I would write a song and I would bring it to him, and nervous as anything, you know, I would either get organ or guitar and I would play him the song. And I mean, we've been writing for 20 years together. I can like pour my heart out to that guy, and he would just either be like, all right, like speed it up, slow it down, stop me in halfway through a song, be like, that's it, that's your song, I don't want to hear anymore. And I'm like, no, I got this other great part. And he's like, don't want to hear it. So he definitely helped arrange and get everything ready. And, you know, he'd call me out on really not bad, but cheesy lyrics. And so, you know, I go back to the writing.
Okay, I'm gonna embarrass you now slightly. Is there just one little tiny cheesy lyric that didn't make it onto the album that you could share with us?
I mean, I guess. I mean, it's the Sweet Talk song, and in the first 4 lines, I say, oh, of course, you know, I'm like here in the moment. I need my lyric sheet, but I said, wearing your favorite dress. And he just thought it was like the worst thing in the world. And I changed it to waiting on one last kiss.
That is better. So he was right. Yeah.
Oh, he's always right. He's the hit machine. Yeah, I'm really lucky to have him on my side.
Yeah. Was there a particular song on this album that was more difficult to give birth? Was there anything that you really had to, you know, keep going back to, and it was just not particularly getting there, or they all came fairly easily?
Yeah, they all came fairly easy. I generally tend to write pretty quickly. They just naturally come out. I do feel really lucky for that. And then I bring them to James. We work out all the kinks, and then we bring it to the bass player, who's also the producer. He'll put his 2 cents in. And then when we have it, I would bring it to Bobby, who throws down those drums like nobody's business. And the whole song's come together that way.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Throws down those drums like nobody's business. That's great. Would you like to get this out on the road as soon as you can?
I would. Actually, it's been a lifelong dream. I'm going to be honest, though. I'm pretty new, and I've played maybe 6 shows in my whole life. Wow,
yeah. That isn't a lot. No, I think I played 6 shows by the time I was 16.
Yeah. So I'm super shy, and I definitely have to get over that. But I can tell you this, that after giving birth, I told myself that I can do anything. And I got the boys together to play our wedding. So we were the band for our own wedding, and we took a bunch of songs and we learnt them and I practiced them. And when I got up on stage, I kicked butt. And yeah, and I realized at that point that I can do this. So
I think a lot of people are like that, though. You know, I was talking to someone else about this earlier, actually, from my other business world, etc. And I described myself as she would describe herself as an introvert. I said I describe myself as a shy extrovert.
Yes.
And by that, I mean, actually, when it comes to it, I do like to show off and perform, but actually I get very nervous about it, and I'm very self-critical about how how I'm sounding, how I look, etc. So I'm not naturally wanting to necessarily be out in the spotlight, etc. But I have to say, from a music perspective, and actually going through school, I never said boo to a goose. Right, this is the really strange thing. I, honest to goodness, didn't say boo to a goose. My teachers used to put on my report time and time again, and Graham just needs to speak up in class a little bit more, because he doesn't actually say anything, right? And then I got to 14, and I started a band with some friends.
Yeah.
And I found through performing music, when I was up on stage and lost myself in it, nothing else, that kind of being in front of people and being more of a show off, just went. Because quite frankly, it wouldn't have mattered to me if there was anybody there at all. I was performing those songs because I wanted to, for me.
Yes.
And actually my headspace was about just thinking about what the song meant to me. And if other people enjoy it, then that's up to them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely not a born performer at all.
But did you feel that when you did that? Did you notice so much that there were people there, or was it mainly you did get into the song and you just
I just got into the song, and really we were doing it for us, and I got to sing all my favorite songs. So
I think I think then you'll be a great person to see live, because actually I think the best performers are those where you look at them up on stage and actually you think, do you know what, you're just in the music.
Cool. Well, we'll see.
No. Well, I look forward to it. I hope you come to somewhere nearby in Britain that I can actually get to.
100%. Are you kidding me? Most of my Spotify listeners are actually in the UK. So
absolutely. Well, and also you just want to visit some of the cultural heritage.
Are you kidding me?
From which all of this great music that you were inspired with came from as well. 100%. So you will go down as Storm in the UK. So that's great. Is there going to be another record as well? Are you starting on the next project? Fantastic. Tell me a snippet without giving too much of the game away.
Oh, well, I don't know. It's kind of the same as the last one. I'm just
well, no, it won't be the same as the last one, will it? Because otherwise it would be exactly the same album.
Well, that would be terrible, actually. And I'm actually trying to make a point, because this record it's a very simple record. I won't get into it too much, so I'm definitely practicing on moving out of my my comfortable 3 chords, because most of my songs are the same 3 chords.
Hey, look, don't knock 3 chords, right? Because 3 chords is where it all happens, right? But you can put the odd 4th one in there. That's all.
Well, exactly. So I am deliberately pushing myself to find those other chords and write around those other chords. So pushing me out of my comfort zone. And I've got one demo, man. I love it. I get up and I dance to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to talk about it on air because I promised that we wouldn't, right? But you and I both know that there's a story that's close to your heart at the moment that will become a song for this album, right?
Yes.
So I'm looking forward, and we'll just let everybody else guess what that is. It's just between you and me.
Oh, awesome.
But I am waiting for the next album, and I want to see, Madisyn, I want to see that song about that person and that incident on that album. All right.
Oh, and you know.
And it's gonna be a hit, right? Because when it's that close to the bone, you know, that makes great music. I love it now because everyone's sitting there going, I wonder what that is. You know, and every other DJ and every other interviewer from now on in is going to go, what was that? What is that story? And you just go, can't tell you. Only Graham and I know.
They'll have to wait.
Have to wait for that next album. What will be the sort of, do you have a sort of time scale in your head for the next album or not?
You know what? I would like to release something within the next year.
Great.
To keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Jay, who produced this, and I told him, I said, I have four rough songs, and I said, I only have 6 more to go. And he looked at me and he said, 6? He says, you got 16 more to go. He's like, you've got to write at least 21 songs, and then we pick the best 11. He said, you had 20 years to make your first record. And he's like, I will not show up unless you have 21 songs for me.
Well, I think that's a good sort of discipline, etc. And the trouble with it, the only downside of it is if all 16 or 21 turn out to be absolute corkers, you're going to have to release a double album.
Oh,
no. Oh,
that's awesome.
Or there's the alternative to that is that you just make it an A and B album, which I've seen quite a lot of artists do in the last year or two, which is they've actually gone completely crazy in terms of their output, and it's so good that what they've decided to do is do a themed album over 2 records and continue that on. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. You're giving me some great ideas.
That's what I'm here for. I'm a business coach to the music world as much as I am doing an interview. So no, I look forward to that, whether it's just a single album or whether it just works so well that it's either, you know, with the beautiful gatefold sleeve. Do you remember those?
Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah.
Gatefold sleeves. Yeah. That would be great as well. So no, I really, really enjoyed this album. I feel that if there's one criticism of this album, and I'm just going to put it out there, is that it's just come out at slightly the wrong time for me, because this album to me spells summer.
Yeah.
I would love to I can't wait for the sun to come out.
Yeah.
The hot tub to get back into the garden, the beers to be on the hot tub lid, and then me listening to this in the garden.
Okay. Well,
you know, because it speaks of, and it's like a lot of my favorite albums from the Britpop era. In that respect as well, they are great albums for listening to in the summer. Yeah. There's a lot of great you know, it's very you know, very positive album, I feel, in a lot of ways. And you know, and I think that, you know, even though you've got titles like Killing Desire and Dagger, you know, which make it sound like, you know, and One Shot make it sound like you might be someone that could kill someone. Trust me, folks, when you listen, it doesn't give that ambience out. It's actually really, really positive. So it's great. I will definitely be doing a listening party of your album in the summer, and I will send you a photo of us listening to it in the hot tub.
Oh, please do. Please
All right,
do.
that's going to go all over Twitter. Don't worry. So, Madisyn, I try and finish these things with a serious question, which is that in terms of your life in music, if you could work with, and you know this is where this is going now, if you could work with one artist that you had the choice, whether it's in production or whether it's in terms of a duet or just working on a song together, who would that be?
Oh, darn, that's a good question. Whoo. Oh man.
You can say more than one if you want to, because I mean, I know if someone asked me that, I immediately would go, do I have to pick one?
It's like walking into a music store and I forget all of my favorite bands. Yeah, I'm having definitely that kind of moment. Jeez, this is awful. Well, as ridiculous as it sounds, I would love to do a duet with Jesus and Mary Chain.
That does not sound ridiculous. Why does that sound ridiculous?
I don't know.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds all right. And who else I would love to work with, even though I'm sure it would never happen, is the Vaccines. I love the way he writes. And I don't know, I just love to get up on stage and play with him. Well, all of them.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, look, I mean, it's a great thing. But the Vaccines are very popular all over the world at the moment. But not the band.
Right.
But the Vaccines would be great. I think is with the Vaccines, is it the lyric play as much as anything else?
I think it's all of it. I mean, I love his voice. I just love the energy and the rawness, depending on the record. And I think it's the whole kit and caboodle, which is why I love them so much.
Okay, well, I'm going to make sure that when this airs again, and we retweet this, that I'm gonna make sure that we tweet the Vaccines into this. All right. Same as I did the other day with Charlie Nyland and Brian Eno, who he wants to work with. So we're going to make sure that the Vaccines get copied into this, just to see if we can make that happen, because that would be tremendous, wouldn't it?
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. So we look forward to that for the future. In the meantime, Madisyn, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope that wasn't too painful for you.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? That was fun. No, thank you for having me on.
Well, no, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing Save Our Hearts with us. I presume people can get this from places like Bandcamp, etc. Can they get physical copies? Where can people buy the music?
Okay, so I pressed vinyl. We recorded.
Oh my word! Did you?
Oh, yeah, you would love it. It's beautiful. So it's 180 grams. It's a 3-page insert.
You can send it to me, and I'll hold it up in front of people all day long. In fact, okay. I will walk down my road with it like this, saying, "Buy this."
I will send you a copy then. Absolutely. And that's available on Bandcamp, also on the website.
Yeah.
And then the usual places, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get your music.
Buy the vinyl. Buy the vinyl.
Buy the vinyl. Oh, it's so good. It's mastered. I mean, as you know, it's mastered differently. Yeah. I can only listen to vinyl. I have a hard time listening to anything else.
But the great thing about vinyl as well, the lovely thing about vinyl is that you can then put your record in amongst all of those.
I know.
And you do as well, don't you? You actually play with it and go,
I sure have.
I'm going to put it next to Camera Obscura today. Look at that. There's my album next to Camera Obscura.
That is exactly where it is. So, no word of a lie. Veronica Falls is after it. I've got Wolf Alice. I've got myself in a little
Wolf Alice. Brilliant.
Wrap a little section over there, and I flip through, and it makes me feel so good.
Do you know what? I'm happy for you, because I just know how that feels. That feels so good. So there we go. People, make Madisyn even happier. Buy a copy of her vinyl, please, and put it in your record collection next to other things that you really love, and then take a photo and put it on Twitter, please. That would just be absolutely beautiful. I really, really, really want to see that. If you've already bought Madisyn's album on vinyl, please share your photos of where it sits in your collection.
So cool.
Because that really will make her day. Okay. And she will look at how excited she is now, and that's when it's in her collection.
Exactly.
Just imagine if it was in someone else's. Oh, stunning. You've been an absolute star. Absolute star. Thank you very, very much. Everybody, please go and check out Save Our Hearts now. It is a tremendous album. I look forward to speaking to you again when the next album comes out.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time today.
Right,
Bye for now. Bye for now.
Bye.